Chapter 1 The Dragons Insult. The Grand Hall of the Skyward Throne, a cavernous space carved from the living rock of the asteroid, was filled with a rare silence when the chamber doors slid open. Commander Lai, a human in his mid-30s, stepped in with a grim set of features, his eyes focused and weary. Behind him, 3 of his subordinates followed closely, their armor clinking softly against the metallic walls. The entire hall seemed to watch as they made their way towards the ornate throne, where Queen Aethylla, a dragoness in human form, sat motionlessly. Queen Aethylla was a sight to behold, sleek silver scales shimmering under the flickering lights that danced across her features. Her hair flowed like molten metal, and her eyes, a deep crimson, glowed with an inner fire that spoke of both power and patience. She wore a robe made from dragon silk, its colors shifting between black and purple, the material catching every shadow cast by the rotating asteroids outside the grand hall's vast windows. Commander Lai approached the throne, his pace steady but purposeful, stopping a respectful distance away. "Your Majesty," he began, his voice crisp and clear, "we have news from our latest mission." Queen Aethylla inclined her head slightly, her eyes narrowing ever so slightly. "Proceed, Commander." "We encountered resistance near the edge of the sector," Lai continued, his gaze remaining fixed on the dragoness. "A group of unknown individuals, unidentified craft, aggressive in their approach unknown." Queen Aethylla's voice sliced through the air like a blade. "You mean humans?" "Affirmative," Commander Lai replied, his tone unflinching. "However, they were armed with technology we have never seen before." Aethylla's hand twitched slightly, a flash of anger and curiosity flickered across her face. "Show me the recordings." Lai nodded once, then motioned for one of his subordinates to retrieve the data chip from their ship. As he did so, Queen Aethylla's eyes followed Commander Lai with unwavering intensity, her gaze sharp enough to cut through steel. The subordinate returned moments later and handed the chip to Queen Aethylla, who inserted it into the throne's console with a barely audible click. The display flickered to life, revealing grainy images of hostile humans in combat gear advancing on their scouting team. The images were quick, a flurry of movement and flashes of technology that seemed to defy conventional understanding. "A new weapon system," Queen Aethylla muttered under her breath, her eyes glued to the screen. "Something we need to study." Commander Lai nodded, his expression tight. "Mom, our initial analysis suggests these humans are not part of any known coalition or military force." "Possible rebels then," Queen Aethylla murmured, turning to face Commander Lai directly, her gaze piercing. "Do they pose a threat?" Lai hesitated for just a moment before speaking. "They could be, but we need more information to make an assessment." Aethylla's eyes narrowed. "We cannot afford uncertainty, Commander. If these rebels have developed new technology beyond our comprehension, it poses a significant risk." The air grew tense as Aethylla contemplated her next move. She leaned back in her throne, her scales catching the light and casting shadows that seemed to darken the hall further. "Deploy your forces," she ordered, "but proceed with caution. We must gather intelligence first." "Yes, Your Majesty," Commander Lai said, bowing slightly. As he turned to leave, Aethylla's voice stopped him mid-step. "And Commander?" Lai paused, turning to face her once more. "Be mindful," Aethylla said softly, her gaze not wavering from him, "of their potential for surprise." Commander Lai nodded once more before exiting the hall, with his subordinates in tow. The doors slid shut behind them, leaving Queen Aethylla alone in the grand hall, the tension lingering like a palpable shadow. Unseen tensions. Just as Commander Lai left, another figure entered the hall from an unseen entrance, moving silently despite the hardness of their armor. This was a young dragon named Lyriel, her wings folded tightly against her back, her tail trailing behind her in a way that seemed almost casual, but hinted at her inherent grace and strength. She carried herself with a posture that suggested both arrogance and curiosity. Lyriel stopped several feet away from where Queen Aethylla sat, her eyes locking onto the Silver Queen. "Sister," she greeted coolly, her voice carrying just enough of an edge to cut through the air. Queen Aethylla's gaze flickered towards Lyriel. Her expression remained calm, but a spark of irritation was evident in her crimson eyes. "What is it, Lyriel?" "Word has come that our young dragon royal has provoked a human veteran," Lyriel said, her tone dripping with disdain. "And he walked away without a fight." Aethylla's eyebrows rose slightly, an unfamiliar tension creeping into the air. She leaned forward, her expression shifting from calm to something more insidious. "Details?" Lyriel smirked, her eyes flashing with amusement and frustration. "The royal insulted him." The human responded with silence and left. "Silence?" Aethylla echoed, her voice low and dangerous. "A powerful response," Lyriel drawled, crossing her arms over her chest. "A challenge accepted but unanswered." Queen Aethylla stood up, the throne groaning beneath her weight as she did so. Her presence filled the hall, a palpable force that demanded attention. "And you know this how?" she asked, voice sharp and demanding. Lyriel's smirk widened. "I heard it from the human himself," she said, shrugging nonchalantly. "He was leaving his quarters when I intercepted him." "Why weren't you there to observe?" Aethylla snapped, her eyes narrowing into slits. Lyriel's lip curled, revealing a glimpse of sharp teeth. "Because, sister, the dragon royal needed to learn some humility." Aethylla took a deep breath, her scales shifting in reaction to her mounting anger. "This is unacceptable," she growled. "A veteran human walked away without confrontation, and you allowed it?" "Allowed?" Lyriel's eyes flashed with challenge. "I intervened, but the insult had already been made." "You failed your duty," Aethylla hissed, taking a step towards Lyriel. "This will not go unpunished." Lyriel's expression hardened, her wings slightly unfurling as she tensed. "And what will you do, sister?" Queen Aethylla's eyes blazed with fury, her grip tightening on the throne's armrests. "You know exactly what I will do," she hissed, her voice a low rumble that seemed to vibrate through the air. Lyriel's smirk returned, but there was an undercurrent of unease in her eyes. "We shall see then," she said quietly before turning and walking away, leaving Aethylla alone once more in the hall. As the door slid shut behind Lyriel, a chill ran down the hall. The tension was thick, a storm brewing between sister dragons that hinted at secrets and deeper conflict to come. The veteran's resolve, commanderless footsteps echoed through the sterile corridors as he made his way back to his quarters, his mind racing with the latest developments. He entered, finding his quarters empty, save for the flickering lights reflecting off his polished armor. The room was filled with the faint scent of metal and sweat, a testament to the weariness and tension of the day. Sitting at his desk, Commander Lai pulled up the mission report on his terminal, reviewing the data meticulously. The images of the human rebels flickered across the screen, their faces masked, but their determination clear. He frowned, reaching for his comms unit to check in with his team scattered throughout the sector. As he spoke, his voice was a mix of command and caution, the gravity of the situation weighing heavily on him. Meanwhile, the corridor outside buzzed with a different sort of tension. A group of young cadets whispered among themselves, their eyes darting towards the commander's quarters as if expecting something to happen next. It was clear they were wary, but also intrigued by the tension that gripped the base. Suddenly, there was a sharp knock on Commander Li's door. He paused, his hand hovering over the panel to open it. "Enter," he called, voice steady despite the unexpected interruption. The door slid open, and in stepped a young dragon cadet, her wings tightly folded against her back. She approached with hesitant strides, her eyes downcast but filled with determination. Commander Lai recognized her as one of Lyriel's protégés. "Sir," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "there's been a report. The human veteran, he disappeared." Li's gaze sharpened. "Where did he go?" She hesitated, her scales shifting slightly, under the commander's intense scrutiny. He was last seen heading towards the sector edge. Sector edge? Lai interrupted, his expression hardening. There's nothing out there but asteroids and space. The cadet swallowed hard. That's what everyone thinks, she said, voice trembling slightly. But some of us believe something else. Commander Lai leaned back in his chair, his eyes narrowing. Like what? There are rumors about anomalies, the cadet whispered, her eyes darting to the door as if afraid someone might overhear. Strange occurrences near the edge, places no one dares go. What kind of anomalies? Lai pressed, his tone more urgent now. She took a deep breath, her scales flickering nervously. Mystery is signals, odd energy readings, and stories of disappearing ships. List's eyes narrowed, his mind racing through possibilities. He had heard whispers of such things before, tales that were never discussed openly, but always lingered in the shadows of base life. Details, he commanded firmly. The cadet took another deep breath, her scales settling slightly as she found her resolve. Sir, some believe these anomalies hold secrets, ancient knowledge. Some say they lead to other places. List's grip tightened on his desk, his gaze piercing through the younger dragon. And this veteran, he was heading towards these anomalies? The cadet nodded. Yes, sir. But we think something else is involved. Suddenly, Commander List's comms unit buzzed with an urgent message. He glanced at it, then back at the young cadet. Continue later, he ordered, his tone leaving no room for argument. For now, find out everything you can. She nodded, her expression determined despite her initial hesitation. Yes, sir. As she left, List's mind whirled with possibilities and the implications of the veteran's disappearance. The base was more than just soldiers and machines. It was a place of secrets, ancient knowledge, and mysteries that stretched far beyond the reach of even the most advanced technology. Determined to unravel the puzzle, Commander Lai stood up, his resolve hardening. He knew he needed to act quickly and decisively. There was a storm brewing on the horizon, and he wasn't sure if he was prepared for it. As he left his quarters, his steps were deliberate and purposeful, heading towards the heart of the base where answers lay hidden in the shadows and whispers that danced through the corridors. The air was thick with tension and uncertainty, and Commander Lai knew he had to confront whatever lay ahead without fear or hesitation. Shadows and secrets. Commander Lai made his way swiftly through the bustling base corridors, his eyes scanning the surrounding activity as he moved towards the central command room. Cadets rushed by with datapads in hand, their faces tight with concentration, while older soldiers nodded respectfully at his approach. The atmosphere was thick with the pressure of impending conflict and uncertainty. Entering the command room, Lai found it filled with maps and screens displaying the sector's edge and beyond. His team members, Lieutenants Chen and Quan, were already there, poring over data and making notes on their tablets. They looked up as he entered, eyes narrowing in question. Sir, Chen greeted immediately, her voice steady despite the tension. Lieutenants, Lai acknowledged, moving to the central console. We have a new situation. Quan stepped forward, her expression tense. The human veteran's disappearance? Yes, Lai confirmed, his eyes hardening as he pulled up the latest anomaly reports. We need to verify these signals and readings, anything that can point us towards the veteran or these so-called anomalies. Chen nodded, her fingers flying over the console. Already on it, sir. The edge sector readings are erratic. Possible interference, Quan added, her eyes scanning additional data. Or something more significant. List's brow furrows. Significant? Quan hesitated, glancing at Chen before continuing. There's a pattern to these anomalies, sir. Occurrences cluster around specific coordinates. Coordinates leading where? Lai pressed, his voice sharp. She swallowed, her scales shifting nervously. Something beyond our known space, Quan admitted quietly. List's grip tightened on the console's edge. How far? Quan hesitated again, her eyes reflecting a mix of fear and awe. Unknown, sir, but something older, perhaps even from another realm. Another realm? Lai echoed, his mind racing through ancient legends and modern theories. Chen nodded, her voice steady but tinged with urgency. Old myths speak of portals and pathways through the void possible, Lai said thoughtfully, but also risky. We need to locate the veteran, Quan urged, her eyes burning with determination. Understand what's happening. Li's gaze hardened, his resolve sharpening. Agreed, but we must proceed cautiously. We don't know what or how might encounter. Chen stepped forward, her expression resolute. Sir, we have to act now. The veteran's gone, and these anomalies are unpredictable. Lai nodded, his mind already forming a plan. All right, send a reconnaissance team. Use stealth drones. Understood, Chen said, nodding briskly. And gather more data on these anomalies. Lai continued, his voice firm. We need to know everything we can. Quan added, Sir, perhaps we should involve Queen Aethylla? Lai paused, considering the idea. Not yet. We need concrete evidence first. The trio's eyes met in silent understanding, their determination and concern growing with each passing second. The stakes were high, the unknowns vast. Let's proceed, Lai ordered, his voice cutting through the air with authority. But remain vigilant. Just then, a commotion broke out near the entrance as a heavily armed squad led by Lyriel entered swiftly, their presence tense and unwelcoming. Li's team stilled, eyes narrowing at the unexpected arrival. Commander Lyriel greeted coolly, her gaze sharp. We have word the Dragon Royal has disappeared. Li's jaw tightened. Details? She vanished from a known human stronghold, sir, Lyriel said, her voice dripping with disdain. The humans were nowhere to be found. Another disappearance? Lai echoed, his mind racing. I believe so, Lyriel confirmed, eyes narrowing. Dangerous. You think these anomalies are involved? Lai asked, glancing at Chen and Quan. Lyriel nodded curtly. Likely, but the veteran's presence complicates matters. Li's grip tightened on the console as he processed the implications. The anomalies, the veteran's disappearance both pointed to something deeper, something beyond their current understanding. We need to understand these anomalies, Lai said firmly, and find our missing team members. Quan nodded, her expression resolute. Agreed, sir. Chen added, Sir, we must also be cautious. Yes, Lai interrupted sharply, his eyes flickering towards Lyriel. Be prepared for the unexpected. Lyriel's gaze met his, a silent challenge between them. Understood, Commander. With that, the atmosphere in the room grew even tenser, the potential dangers lurking beyond the edge sector casting long shadows over their plans and resolve. A new dawn outside. Under the vast expanse of starry night, the asteroid's surface glimmered with an eerie light. Above it all, the base seemed to hum with an unseen energy, the tension hanging heavy in the air as Commander Lai and his team prepared for what lay ahead. Shadows crept along the walls, secrets whispering in the corridors, and the heart of the matter loomed just beyond their grasp. As night fell, the first reconnaissance drone silently left the base, its sensors activated to detect anomalies and any signs of the veteran's trail. The darkness swallowed it whole, each flicker of light a beacon in the void. Commander Lai stood at the command room's console, watching the screens with laser focus. Keep me informed, he ordered his team. We will, sir, Chen responded, her voice steady. Quan added, and well, keep eyes open for any unusual activity. Lyriel remained silent nearby, her presence a constant reminder of the complex dynamics at play within the base. Yet, despite the underlying tension and mutual suspicion, they all shared a singular goal: to uncover the mysteries lurking beyond the edge. As the reconnaissance mission began, the base stilled into a watchful silence. The corridors echoed with the unseen footsteps of those who dared to step into the unknown. The shadows deepened, secrets whispered in the darkness, and the dawn of new dangers loomed ever closer. And so, amidst the tension and intrigue, Commander Li's resolve hardened as he prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that the path to truth would be fraught with peril and uncertainty. The journey into the unknown was about to begin, and only one thing was clear: it wouldn't be easy. The journey into the unknown was about to begin, and only one thing was clear: it wouldn't be easy. Human protagonist Jaden stood beside Leary, an ethereal being with dragon-like wings and scales that shimmered in hues of sapphire and emerald. They were about to cross a forbidden border into territory controlled by the malevolent entity known as the Obsidian Council. Jaden's heart raced as he gazed at the rugged mountains ahead, cloaked in swirling mists. The path was treacherous, filled with unknown perils. "Are you ready, Leary?" he asked, her voice calm yet tinged with worry. Her eyes held a depth that spoke of countless battles won and lost. Jaden nodded resolutely, pushing away his fears. "As ready as I can be. Let's go." Leary's wings unfurled, casting shadows on the rocky ground below them. She took to the air, graceful yet powerful. Jaden gripped a nearby tree branch for a moment before leaping upward, catching an air current that whisked him alongside Leary. "Stay close," she warned as they flew over the mountain's edge. Below was a vast expanse of rolling hills and dense forests, but all around them loomed peaks topped with razor-sharp cliffs. The Obsidian Council's territory was known for its impenetrable defenses and deadly traps. Suddenly, Leary halted mid-flight. Jaden barely managed to avoid crashing into her when she stopped suddenly. Ahead, hovering in the air, were several shadowy figures, the Council's sentinels. Their forms twisted like dark clouds, sending shivers down Jaden's spine. "Leary, what do we do?" he whispered urgently. "We need to talk," Leary replied, her voice firm but strained. "They will not let us pass without a reason." The shadowy figures circled closer, their whispers weaving through the air like venomous serpents. The air grew cold and oppressive as they closed in. Jaden felt a prickle at the base of his neck. Something was wrong. "Leary, we can't just talk them," Jaden said, frustration rising. "They look dangerous." A sentinel's form elongated to reveal eyes that seemed to bore through Jaden's soul, making him shiver uncontrollably. The creature tilted its head in mock curiosity. "You carry the key, human. We know you seek what we guard," it hissed. Its voice was a paradox of softness and harshness that made Jaden's skin crawl. Leary stepped forward, placing herself between Jaden and the sentinels. "We have every right to travel here," she declared firmly. The sentinel's eyes narrowed into slits. "Rights are meaningless now. You must prove your purpose." Without warning, one of the sentinels lunged forward, grabbing Leary by her wing, its grip tight as iron. Jaden's mind raced. He had to act fast before Leary got hurt. But as his hand reached for the weapon strapped to his belt, a voice inside him whispered, "Not yet." "Let her go," Jaden shouted, his hand tightening into a fist. The sentinel smirked and yanked Leary closer, but she remained calm. "We can negotiate," she said evenly, though her wing quivered slightly under the strain. "No negotiation. Your path is clear. Prove your worth," the sentinel snarled, its grip tightening further. Leary's eyes flashed with determination. She stared directly at the sentinel, her voice strong despite the pressure. "Release me, and I will." The sentinel hesitated, its eyes flickering back and forth between Jaden and Leary. A slow nod seemed to pass through it, as if it was making a decision. "Very well," it said, releasing Leary's wing with an unceremonious shove that sent her tumbling backward. She caught herself mid-air, but remained wary. "What do I need to prove?" Jaden asked, his voice steady but laced with defiance. "You must cross the Obsidian Veil," one of the sentinels replied, its form shifting into a swirling mass of darkness. "There your true intentions will be revealed." Jaden glanced at Leary, whose expression was grim but resolute. "We have no choice," she said. The group of sentinels parted to reveal a shimmering barrier that seemed to pulse with an almost sentient intelligence. The Obsidian Veil, which could either welcome or reject them based on their true intentions. Stepping forward, Jadden felt a sudden chill that ran through his entire being. "Do not underestimate the veil," warned one of the sentinels as they approached. "Only those who are truly worthy pass." Jadden reached out hesitantly, feeling the barrier's surface. It was cold and smooth, yet somehow alive, humming with energy that felt both foreign and threatening. "Leary," placed a hand on Jadden's back, her presence grounding him. "Let your heart guide you," she whispered. With a deep breath, Jadden stepped through the veil, feeling its embrace wrap around him like cold tendrils of mist. The transition was disorienting. Colors and shapes swirled around him, distorting his sense of time and space. He could hear Leary's voice echoing faintly, though it felt distant. Moments later, the disorientation dissipated, and Jadden found himself in a vast, sunlit plain dotted with strange, luminescent flowers that emitted a soft glow. The sky above was clear, and there was an aura of peace about this new realm. "Welcome to the heart of our world, Leary," His said beside him, her voice now devoid of tension. She had passed through unscathed. The sense of relief quickly faded as Jadden saw figures approaching from across the plain. They were unlike anything he had encountered before. Humanoid in form, but with features that shifted and morphed. Their bodies seemed to be made of living stone and metal, eyes glowing with an inner light that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. "We are the Keepers," one of them said, its voice resonant yet disembodied. "We judge those who enter our realm." Jadden felt a mix of awe and fear as he looked at these entities. They moved with an eerie grace, their forms shifting slightly as they spoke, making it hard to discern true intent behind their actions. "What must we do?" Jadden asked, trying to stay calm in the face of such strangeness. The Keeper stepped forward, its form morphing into something resembling a towering statue made of polished obsidian. "Prove your worth," it intoned, its voice echoing strangely around them. "Only those who can face their deepest fears and truths shall pass." Leary placed a hand on Jadden's shoulder, her touch reassuring but filled with subtle power. "This is a test of heart and mind," she murmured. "Face your fears, and you will find the path forward." Jadden nodded, his resolve hardening. He could feel the weight of countless eyes upon them, the Keeper's gaze intense and unblinking. "Tell us your purpose here," the Keeper demanded in its booming voice. Jadden took a deep breath. "I'm here to find a way to stop the Obsidian Council from destroying the world," he said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. The Keeper's form shifted again, becoming more detailed and less imposing. He considered his words carefully before responding. "You have a noble goal," it intoned after a moment, "but this path is fraught with challenges beyond measure." "Then guide us," Leary had interjected, her voice clear and commanding. "We cannot face this alone." The Keeper's eyes glowed brighter, the shifting stone of its body flickering as if in thought. After a moment, it spoke again, its voice calmer now. "Very well. There is one who holds the key, an ancient being of immense power. But to reach them, you must navigate the labyrinth of the past." Jadden felt a chill run down his spine at the thought. The labyrinth of the past sounded like a journey into darkness and uncertainty. "What do we need to do?" he asked. "To reach this ancient being, you must uncover the path through the labyrinth," the Keeper responded. "Each step reveals a truth about your past, your fears, your true self. Only the worthy can navigate its twists and turns." Leary nodded, her wings unfurling slightly as she prepared to take flight once more. "We will find the path," she said firmly. "Then begin your journey," the Keeper intoned, its voice ringing with finality. A shimmering portal formed before them, leading deeper into the labyrinth of shadows. Jadden's heart pounded as he stepped through, his resolve tested in new ways. Leary followed closely behind, her wings trailing behind her like a second skin. The air around them grew colder and darker, filled with the whispers of forgotten memories and secrets. Jadden felt an overwhelming sense of dread, but held fast to Leary's presence. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinth, the walls seemed to grow closer, twisting and turning in impossible ways. Halls opened suddenly, revealing rooms filled with eerie light and haunting figures, echoes of Jadden's own fears and regrets. At every turn Leary was there beside him, her calm and strength providing a stabilizing force. In one room, Jadden faced his past failures, images of missions gone wrong, moments of hesitation and weakness that haunted his sleep. Each failure seemed to taunt him, yet Leary stood resolute beside him. "Remember why you started," she said softly, her wings gently brushing against his back. "Your purpose is greater than these shadows." In another hall, they encountered figures from their shared history, allies who had fallen, sacrifices made in the name of the greater good. The sorrow and pain were palpable, yet Leary's presence stayed him from being overwhelmed. "You are not alone," she whispered, her voice a soothing balm in his darkest moments. The labyrinth was filled with traps and illusions, each designed to test Jadden's resolve and mental fortitude. But Leary, it was always there, guiding him through the worst of it. Her strength gave him hope, her unwavering support a constant beacon in the darkness. As they progressed deeper into the maze, the air grew colder, the whispers louder, the shadows darker. Yet Leary's presence remained a steady light, guiding him forward. In these moments, Jadden realized that his connection with Leary went beyond just trust and mutual survival. It was a bond forged in trials and shared sacrifice. One of the deepest turns led them into an area where time seemed to loop endlessly. Mirrors lined the walls, reflecting infinite versions of themselves in different situations. Each mirror showed a path not taken, choices left behind, fears overcome or ignored. Jadden felt lost, overwhelmed by the sheer number of possibilities and regrets. "Focus," Leary's voice broke through his confusion. "Each reflection is a path. Choose the one that speaks to your heart." Jadden looked at the reflections, seeing countless versions of himself, some heroic, others struggling with doubts and fears. He chose the path that showed him standing beside Leary, facing challenges side by side without hesitation. As he stepped forward into this reflection's reality, the labyrinth shifted around them, the walls melting away to reveal an ancient chamber filled with arcane symbols and glowing runes. In the center stood an ethereal figure draped in light, the ancient being of immense power that the keeper had spoken of. "Welcome, seekers," the being intoned, its voice a gentle breeze carrying through the air. "You have proven your worth, ventured into the heart of darkness, and emerged with clarity." Jadden's breath caught in his throat at the sight. This figure was not like anything he had seen before, yet it felt like an intrinsic part of the world around them. Leary stepped forward, her wings partially unfolded as if in a ceremonial gesture. "We seek to end the Council's tyranny," she said, her voice clear and resonant. The being nodded, its form radiating warmth that calmed Jadden's nerves. "To do this, you must understand the core of what we are fighting against," it intoned. "The Obsidian Council seeks to control the fabric of reality itself. Their power comes from the darkness within each soul, the fear, the doubt, the pain that festers and corrupts." Jadden listened intently, the magnitude of what was at stake becoming clearer. The Council's power didn't just lie in their military might, it was rooted deep within every individual's psyche. Leary's eyes flickered with understanding. "Then we must expose this darkness, confront it head on," she said firmly. The being nodded, its light shimmering. "A noble aim, but it will not be easy. The Council has long arms and dark tendrils that reach into the soul. You must face these shadows within yourself first." Jadden felt a cold fear rise in his chest. Exposing the darkness within was one thing, doing so without being consumed by it was an entirely different challenge. "What is your power?" Jadden asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "It lies within you," Ebiang replied softly. "Look within your heart for strength and clarity." Leary's hand slipped into his, squeezing gently but firmly. "We are strong," she said quietly, her eyes meeting his. In that moment, He knew she had become more than just a companion. She was his anchor, the steady light in the dark. The being's form started to fade, its final words resonating deeply. "Your journey has only just begun. Remember your purpose and stay true." As the ancient figure dissipated into the air, Jaden felt a profound clarity settle over him. The path forward was clear, but fraught with dangers he hadn't yet faced. Turning to Leary, he saw the same resolve in her eyes. "We need to get back," he said firmly, his voice steady now. Leary nodded, her wings fully unfolded as she readied herself to fly. "Let's go." Stepping through the portal back into the daylight, Jaden felt the weight of what they'd discovered settle upon him. The labyrinth had shown them not just the path ahead, but the depths of their own souls and the strength needed to face them. As they flew back towards the Obsidian Council's territory, Jaden knew the battle was far from over. But with Leary by his side, he felt a flicker of hope ignite within him. The journey into the unknown would continue, but now it was illuminated by the light of truth and purpose. The return journey to the starting point was just as perilous as their descent into the labyrinth. However, Jaden's confidence had grown, fortified by the revelations he faced alongside Leary. Their bond felt deeper, more entwined with every step they took together. As they crossed back through the obsidian veil, the sentinels awaited them with their imposing forms. Yet now, their eyes seemed different, a subtle shift that suggested acknowledgement of Jaden's and Leary's resolve. "You have passed," one sentinel intoned as they emerged on the other side. Its voice was devoid of malice now, almost neutral. "Proceed with caution." Jaden nodded, his heart heavy but determined. The air outside was crisp, a reminder of the challenges that lay ahead. He and Leary resumed their flight, the journey back fraught with renewed awareness of the battle they were about to face. Leary's wings beat steadily, cutting through the wind as she navigated them towards a hidden cave system known only to her. The Obsidian Council's forces were no longer the primary threat now. It was the internal war they needed to wage against the darkness within themselves and others. As they delved deeper into the caves, Jaden realized that their journey had changed him fundamentally. No longer just a soldier or an adventurer, he was someone who understood the profound impact of facing one's own shadows. Lyria's presence beside him remained unwavering, her ethereal beauty and strength an unyielding support. They encountered challenges within the cave's traps, designed to ensnare the unwary, illusions that tested their resolve, and creatures born from the deepest fears of those who had passed through before. Through each challenge, Leary had guided Jaden with wisdom and courage, their bond strengthening as they faced each obstacle together. As they emerged from the cave system, a feeling of unease settled over Jaden. They were about to enter the heart of the Obsidian Council's territory, an area thick with their dark aura. "Are you ready?" Leary asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Jaden nodded, his mind racing but calm. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of what they had discovered settle upon him. The darkness wasn't just outside them, it was within, and they needed to confront that before they could hope to defeat the council. "Let's go," he said firmly, placing a hand on Lyria's shoulder. Together, Leary had nodded, her wings unfurling as she prepared for flight. Together, they stepped forward into the darkness that awaited them, their hearts filled with resolve and purpose. The journey ahead was fraught with peril, but now it was also illuminated by the light of truth and understanding. As Jaden and Leary approached the heart of the Obsidian Council's territory, the air grew cold and heavy with the oppression of unseen eyes. Shadows seemed to whisper secrets in the breeze, and the ground beneath their feet shifted as if alive with malevolent purpose. The walls of rock and stone were lined with dark runes that pulsed faintly, a reminder of the dangerous magic that lay dormant within this land. "Stay close," Leary murmured, her voice echoing through the cavernous passageways. She extended her wings slightly, a sign of readiness to defend both of them should they face immediate danger. Jadden nodded, his heart pounding with the tension of what was to come. Each step they took seemed to draw closer to the core of darkness that they had journeyed to face. The labyrinth's revelations continued to echo in his mind the knowledge that true strength lay not just in physical prowess, but in confronting one's own deepest fears and doubts. Suddenly, a grow-up of figures emerged from the shadows, their forms, twisted and menacing like living nightmares, come to life. Jadden felt Leary, tense beside him, her wings fluttering slightly in anticipation of a fight. "Leary," he started, his voice low and warning. "Stay calm," she replied, her eyes narrowing slightly as she assessed the threat. "We need to pass through them." The figures advanced menacingly, their forms shifting fluidly between humanoid and more twisted, otherworldly shapes. One of them stepped forward, its face morphing into a terrifying grin filled with sharp teeth. "You carry the key," it hissed, its voice echoing through the caverns like a serpent's tongue. "You shall not pass." Leary took a deep breath, her wings flaring out in preparation for combat. Before she could act, Jadden stepped forward, hesitating only slightly before pulling a small device from his belt, something he had found during their earlier journey. "This isn't how it has to be," he said firmly, extending the device towards the figures. "There's another way." The figures paused, their expressions shifting as if unsure of how to react. One stepped forward, its form resolving into that of a humanoid figure with dark, piercing eyes. "What is this?" it demanded, examining the device Jadden held. "It's the symbol of hope," Jadden replied, his voice steady despite the mounting tension. "A way to understand, to see beyond the darkness." The figures exchanged glances amongst themselves, their shifting forms revealing a mix of confusion and curiosity. The lead figure's eyes narrowed before it spoke again, its voice a blend of skepticism and intrigue. "Let us see what it offers," it finally said, stepping forward cautiously. Jadden handed over the device, his hand trembling slightly as he relinquished something he had held onto for so long. The figures gathered around it, their forms shifting as if absorbing the energy and meaning behind the device. As they studied it, a subtle change seemed to occur. The dark aura around them began to wane, replaced by a faint glow of what could be described as understanding. One by one, the figures stepped back, their forms resolving into something more solid and less menacing. "We are not enemies," one of them finally said, its voice hesitant but sincere. Lyria's eyes widened in surprise, her wings relaxing slightly. "You understand?" The figure nodded, its form remaining humanoid, but with a strange, almost serene expression. "We were created to defend the Council, but we sense a different path now, one of clarity and hope." Jadden felt a surge of relief mixed with renewed determination. This was unexpected, but it showed that there might be a way forward without resorting to violence. Leary placed a hand on Jadden's shoulder, her touch steady and reassuring. "We must proceed carefully," she said quietly. "More challenges lie ahead." The figures nodded in unison, their forms now shifting back into the shadows from which they had emerged. As they faded away, one final figure lingered, its form solidifying into that of a wise elder with piercing eyes and an aura of ancient power. "Jadden," it intoned, its voice resonating through the caverns, "there is much you have yet to face, but know this: your path is not alone." Jadden's heart clenched at the words. Leary stepped forward, her wings fully unfurled and powerful. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice carrying a depth of gratitude and understanding. The figure nodded once more before fading into the shadows, leaving behind a sense of peace that permeated through Jadden and Lyria's minds. They continued their journey forward, each step heavier with the knowledge of what was ahead, but lighter with the realization that understanding could break even the darkest chains. As they emerged from the cavernous depths and stepped into an open space filled with towering pillars, they continued their journey forward, each step heavier with the knowledge of what was ahead, but lighter with the realization that understanding could break even the darkest chains. The sun dipped into the horizon as they reached the ancient structure, its silhouette a reminder of the weight of history and the burden of the unknown. The alien woman, her dragon wings now a part of her shadow, looked at the horizon where twilight began to claim the day. She felt the dragon's presence within her, a second heart beating in harmony with her own. They were one now, yet two entwined in an eternal dance. As they entered the ruins, the walls seemed to whisper secrets from ages past. The alien woman sensed the dragon's anxiety, its scales shifting under the skin, as if reacting to the oppressive air around them. She offered a silent reassurance, her fingers brushing against the smooth texture of the stone wall, feeling the ancient marks etched in time. The final chamber was a cavernous space, filled with the echoes of past heroes and villains alike. There, at the heart of the darkness, stood the figure they had the woman who had cursed them both with immortality and suffering. Her eyes gleamed with a cold light as she observed them, her presence an oppressive force in the confined space. The alien woman took a step forward, her voice steady but barely above a whisper. "Why?" she asked, challenging the ancient sorceress with the weight of centuries of questions. The question hung in the air, a silent plea for understanding in the face of endless torment. The sorceress smiled, a thin line that did not reach her eyes. "Because you are both a curse and a blessing to this world," she replied cryptically, turning away to gaze at the distant walls as if seeing beyond them into the future. She paused, then turned back to face them with a somber expression. "For years I watched as you struggled against the chains I forged, never understanding that freedom came from within." The air was thick with tension and the weight of unspoken words. The alien woman felt the dragon's breath warm against her neck, a silent reminder of their shared journey through fire and ice. She reached out a hand, touching the sorceress lightly on the shoulder as if to offer a moment of peace before the storm. The sorceress' gaze softened, and she placed a gentle hand over the alien woman's. For a moment, it seemed as though the centuries-old curse might unravel in this simple gesture, the chains of immortality loosened by a touch of compassion. The moment was fleeting, and the sorceress withdrew her hand with a sigh. "I cannot undo what has been done," she said softly, regret etching lines into her face that had long ago faded from memory. "But perhaps understanding can be enough to break the cycle." The dragon within the alien woman stirred restlessly, its wings brushing against her heart as it prepared for battle. But before it could release the fury it had pent up over millennia, the sorceress placed a hand on the alien woman's chest where the dragon beat within her. It was a simple touch, but it held a profound meaning, a connection that bridged across centuries of pain and misunderstanding. The alien woman felt the warmth of the sorceress's hand, and the warmth of the dragon's breath intermingling beneath her skin. In this moment, the lines between them blurred, and understanding became an act of shared humanity, even in the guise of a curse. The alien woman's eyes met the sorceress, and for a brief second, the fire of their struggles was extinguished by a spark of mutual understanding. The sorceress stepped back, her expression pained but resolved. "Remember," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the beating of the dragon's heart within. "Freedom is not found in the breaking of chains, but in the acceptance of them. You are bound to this world because it needs you, just as you need each other." The alien woman nodded, her breath catching in her throat. She reached out again, placing a hand over the sorceress' heart, and then touching her own, where the dragon pulsed with shared strength. It was a fragile moment, a connection forged from the ashes of their torment. Without another word, the sorceress turned and vanished into the shadows, leaving them in the flickering light of the dying day. The alien woman stared after her, feeling the dragon's wings flinch and settle as it too processed the strange calm that had settled between them. As they walked out of the ruins, the world seemed to shift around them, the burdens lightening with the dawn of understanding. The dragon within pulsed in rhythm with the human heart, a dance of two souls bound together by a bond far deeper than any curse could sever. They left the ancient sorceress and her cryptic words behind, carrying with them the weight of an untold story and the hope of a new beginning. Under the vast expanse of the night sky, the alien woman turned to face the dragon's wings, now a part of her shadow, but also a symbol of their unbreakable bond. In the silence between them, she whispered, "We are free, but the chains that bind us are threads of light guiding our path." The dragon rumbled in response, its breath warm against her neck, as if to say, "Together forever." And as they walked away into the darkness, their hearts entwined by understanding and love, a single star winked in the distance. Final line: stars never truly die. The phrase lingered in the air, a whisper of cosmic truth that hung over the desolate landscape of the planet now known as Aenis Roman 4. The remnants of life that once thrived here were but faint echoes in the wind, mere wisps of thought and memory. Yet, amidst this desolation, there was an undeniable pulse of existence, a shimmering field of energy that pulsed with ancient power. A lone figure stood at the edge of the ruined cityscape, her form silhouetted against the horizon as the twin moons cast a pale glow across the sands. Colin's gaze drifted upward, tracing the constellations that had once guided explorers and travelers through the cosmos. Each star W as a testament to the eternal nature of the universe, a reminder that even in death there was life. Her hand trembled slightly as she reached into her pocket, retrieving a small vial filled with a silvery liquid that shimmered like stardust itself. This was the essence of what remained of Aenis Roman 4 inhabitants, their memories and consciousness condensed into a form that could be preserved, studied, and perhaps one day resurrected. "Stars never truly die," she murmured to herself, her voice barely above a whisper. "And neither do we." Colin had dedicated her life to the study of preservation and revival, a field born from the ashes of the great cataclysm, a series of catastrophic events that had rendered entire galaxies uninhabitable and countless species extinct. The vials in her possession were the tangible remnants of lost worlds, each containing the memories and essence of beings who once thrived under different skies. As she continued her journey across the desolate landscape, Colin's thoughts turned inward, her mind a swirling vortex of fragmented recollections and scientific theories. She pondered the possibility that consciousness could transcend physical form, that the essence of a being might find a new home in a virtual realm or within the very fabric of the universe itself. Her destination was the ancient observatory on the outskirts of the city, a towering structure of polished obsidian that had withstood the test of time. As she approached, the air around her seemed to hum with a faint resonance, a remnant of the technology and magic that once defined this world. The doors creaked open as she stepped forward, inviting her into the heart of the observatory. Inside, the walls were adorned with intricate maps and star charts, each line and symbol tracing the path of celestial bodies that had long since faded from the night sky. Colin moved through the labyrinthine corridors, her footsteps echoing off the polished floors as she made her way to the central chamber where the heart of the observatory lay, the ancient stargate. This relic was said to be a portal to the stars themselves, a means of communicating with distant worlds and accessing the collective consciousness of the universe. For centuries, it had lain dormant, its secrets sealed behind a veil of mystery and lost knowledge. But now, Colin's research and dedication had brought her to this pivotal moment. With careful precision, she began the process of reactivating the stargate, her hands moving fluidly across ancient controls as she initiated a sequence of energy pulses that crackled through the air. The obsidian walls seemed to pulse in time with the rhythm of the cosmos, and Colin felt a profound connection to the stars above as the portal began to shimmer to life. As the Stargate activated, a blinding light erupted from its core, casting intricate patterns across the chamber. Colin shielded her eyes as the world around her shifted, the very fabric of space, time stretching and warping. And then, just as suddenly, the brilliance faded, leaving behind a silent, ethereal glow. With bated breath, Colin stepped forward into the portal, her body feeling weightless as she was engulfed by an otherworldly presence. The stars themselves seemed to sing a melodic chorus as she traversed the void, each celestial body casting its unique signature upon her consciousness. It was as if she was being woven back into the cosmic tapestry, her essence merging with the infinite expanse of the universe. Emerging on the other side of the portal, Colin found herself in a realm beyond imagination, a vast expanse of swirling energy and radiant light where the boundaries between matter and spirit blurred. Here, the memories and essences of countless beings coexisted, their consciousnesses entwined within the fabric of existence itself. In this realm, time had no meaning, and every moment was an eternal now. Colin felt a profound sense of peace as he absorbed the knowledge and experiences of those who had come before her, their thoughts and emotions echoing through the cosmic web. She understood then that the essence of life continued to evolve beyond physical form, transcending the confines of individuality to become a part of something greater. As she explored this realm, Colin encountered entities that defied description, beings of light and energy who existed solely within the fabric of the universe. These entities were guardians of knowledge, keepers of ancient secrets, and their presence filled her with an overwhelming sense of purpose. They showed her visions of worlds long forgotten, the intricate interconnections between all things, and the potential for infinite creation. Colin's journey in this realm was transformative, a profound awakening that reshaped her understanding of existence itself. She learned that the essence of life was not bound by physical limits, but rather existed within the very fabric of the universe. This realization gave her hope that the memories and essences she had preserved could be given new life, that the cycle of existence could continue beyond the confines of mortal understanding. With this newfound knowledge, Colin returned to Aethylla Roman 4, her spirit rejuvenated and her mission clear. She set about implementing the technologies and techniques she had learned in the realm beyond, working tirelessly to bring the memories and consciousnesses preserved within the vials to life once more. It was a monumental task, one that would take decades to complete, but Colin was undeterred. She established a sanctuary on Aethylla Roman 4, a place where the essence of lost beings could be housed and nurtured, their consciousnesses given form in a virtual realm that mirrored the physical world in which they once existed. Through this process, she hoped to recreate not just memories, but entire lives, allowing these beings to experience existence anew. As Colin's work progressed, she became known as a visionary, a pioneer in the field of revival and preservation. Her sanctuary drew scholars, scientists, and those who sought answers to the mysteries of existence. Together, they worked to unravel the complexities of consciousness and the nature of the universe itself, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. Yet, amidst this grand endeavor, Colin never lost sight of the fundamental truth that guided her: the stars never truly die. Each celestial body that faded from the sky carried with it a legacy of light and energy, forever woven into the tapestry of existence. And in this understanding, she found solace and purpose. Through her relentless pursuit of knowledge and her unwavering commitment to revival, Colin brought hope to a universe still reeling from the aftermath of the great cataclysm. Her sanctuary became a beacon of light, a testament to the enduring nature of life and the infinite potential that lay within the stars themselves.